All right, everybody. Chit chat time here. Well, let's talk about what can we do tonight. Let's see. Truss rods on the guitar. I will try and talk about this the best that I can. I generally don't do truss rod adjustments myself because, one wrong move when you're tightening those things and you can break it. But here's one thing about them that is kind of interesting. Like back in the day, they only had what was called single action truss rods, which means you tighten it, it only goes so far before it will snap. And if you loosen it too much, you can loosen it completely off where it's doing nothing. And that is definitely not good. I mean, if you ever buy a used guitar, the first thing you look for when you buy something used, make sure that truss rod works. Because if you get it home and you didn't check that out, you could go and put your new strings on, intonate it, adjust your action, do all your setup stuff, and then you'll see, like, you'll feel it, like, oh man, my neck needs to be adjusted, and you go to turn that truss rod, and it's just loose, spinning freely. Or it could not move at all, and that's really bad. And sometimes when they're really tight, and you loosen them off, it feels really stiff when you loosen it. It might make you go, ooh, like cringe a little bit. And you'll hear this crack sound. Don't get scared of that. That's just the wood as the rod is spinning in there. And most of the time they work, but if they've been really abused, or maybe someone has stripped out or rounded off the hex key for it, or they just tightened it and couldn't get it to work right, so they sold it, or they broke it themselves. That's about the only issues you might have. So, when you adjust your truss rod, how do you turn it? What way do you turn it? Well, there's two different kinds of bow a neck on a guitar can have. One is a forward bow, where the neck bends that way. And that will cause high action, and maybe if it's not really high action, it'll be like fret buzz in the middle of the neck down towards the 12th fret. And then there's a back bow where the neck is this way too much, and you'll get fret buzz, and it will be at the first fret, like 1st to 5th fret. And this has only been explained to me one time, but I thought I would share it with you guys too. You can research it if you want. It's just if you're planning to do it yourself. When I first did it, I did it on a really cheap guitar that I got a hold of that was beat to hell and back. And the frets were good. They weren't like unlevel or worn down. They just needed polishing. And I thought, I'm going to just attempt it. So if your neck is too far this way, you need to loosen that truss rod off. And that will make the neck relax. If it's this way, you need to tighten that truss rod. Just pull the neck a little bit that way. A little bit towards you. And, sometimes it might take a lot of adjustment to get it right. And that is called neck relief. That's how you set your neck relief. And what I do, which I picked up off of YouTube from a YouTuber, you take a capo, put it on your 1st fret, and then fret around the body joint on the low E string, like 17th fret. And on a Gibson, you might want to do 22nd fret, maybe 19th fret, and then take a feeler gauge and use 12 thousandths of an inch. And you stick it underneath the string, right at the 7th, 8th fret, and just watch it. And if it picks it up, that means it's too tight. The strings are too close to the fretboard. Loosen it off. If there's too much play in there where you can move that gauge around, you need to tighten it just a little bit, just to get it to that 12 thousandths of an inch. And that is great relief for low action shreddability. And some people that shred, like shredders, they like their neck to be dead straight, completely straight. And sometimes it's good to have just a little bit of a bow. You don't want too much, just a little bit. And that's what I know about it. I don't do it myself very much. I need to start. I need to find a cheap little guitar that I can start to work on. I want to start learning how to do the truss rod thing. I learn how to do my own fret work. You know, if I need to level my frets or recrown them, I can polish them all day. If you want to polish your frets, the thing to do nowadays is to get you some fret erasers. Order you some of those things. Those things are awesome. I gotta do the Gibson that I've got here. I gotta do it sometime next week. But back in the day, before I knew about those, I was told, get you some masking tape, tape off your fretboard and your pickups, and get you some triple or quadruple aught steel wool, and that will do a polishing job very, very well. I've done it a few times, and it does really good. But those fret erasers, man, you can get them down to like a mirror look. It looks really good. Very cool. But I don't know. I just get nervous about the truss rod thing, man, because I don't want to break them. But nowadays, the new modern guitars they build, they have what's called a dual action truss rod. Which means once it doesn't really work when you're tightening it, that I know of. But when you're loosening it, you will feel it get really loose, but then it'll start to catch, and you'll feel it start to get some tension on it again. So that saves you, you know, if there's one that, like in the old days, on the older guitars, if it's loosened off doing nothing, you can loosen it some more, and it will actually give a little bit of tension for you. And hopefully get that neck where it needs to be, where the guitar plays well. So why would you have to adjust it? Most times, when you have to adjust a truss rod, it's because of different strain gauges. Like 9s, that's pretty typical. 10s, it's pretty typical. The neck should be fine. But when you go to like 12s or 13s, something like that, you'll have to adjust that truss rod to make sure that neck it has the proper relief. Because if you don't, it'll never play right. And like I said in my Floyd Rose video, you know, our floating trim video, if you're not comfortable doing it, just take it to a tech. They shouldn't charge you. I've never been charged to take mine to have the truss rod adjusted. And then there's one other thing I was told about it. With like Fender. Fender, you can adjust them, and you'll have to adjust it a little bit to get it working. But then Gibson is much more responsive. Like minor adjustments is all you need to make. And then recheck it again. Recheck your relief with that feeler gauge. Gibson's truss rods are much more responsive. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the wood, the mahogany. Maybe it's just a lot more responsive. But then there's the wrench. What size wrench would you need to adjust your truss rod? On like ESP, Ibanez, Schecter, that aren't USA guitars, they will be metric hex keys. And most of the time, it's either a 4mm or a 5mm. One of the two. And then I think on USA stuff, if it's a hex key adjustment, it's usually a standard hex key. Then Gibson has that wrench that they give you with the guitar that goes over that nut to adjust it with, and that's the only wrench they will accept. It will not be a hex key. If you got a hex key underneath that truss rod cover, that's a fake Les Paul. And let's get on that subject for a minute here. There's some things in that I forgot to mention. So people tell me, I've told them about this fake Les Paul stuff, fake Gibson. Well, it's got the import bridge, but you can just change out that bridge for a USA. No, you can't. Because USA bridges, USA parts, do not line up when you put them on. Like you can put your new bridge posts in that are the USA rounded and set that bridge down on it, but the spacing is different. And the holes for the import style posts are bigger. It won't work. And then they've also said, well, someone could have changed that truss rod. You have to have some killer skill to change out a truss rod. And you gotta I think you have to melt. You get the neck, the fingerboard hot, and loosen that glue up that glues the fingerboard on to the neck, and then take the fingerboard off, and the truss rod's laying inside of a channel in there. That's the only way to replace that. It's like, yeah, dude, you can't just, it's not simple to change out a truss rod. So remember that if you ever open up a Gibson truss rod cover and it has a hex key in there, it's fake. And that's a shame, man. I mean, why would they want to build a guitar that says Gibson on the headstock? It says made in USA. It's got the Les Paul signature on the headstock, and make it look exactly like a Gibson, and they pass it off as a real one. Like, man, that's just, it's a travesty. It's like you're making a mockery of Gibson. And then there's fake Ibanez's too, like fake Steve Vai gems. They're all over the place. I actually owned one time. And I didn't know at the time that I owned it. I didn't know about it. I still got it somewhere around here. It's in pieces. But, it's like, don't do that, man. Don't do that. And when you look on those sites to buy those things, it's like, you look at the picture of it, and it's the real deal. It's the real guitar that you're looking at. So you might see a Les Paul Standard that is beautiful. And you'll see one, let's see, what's the prettiest that I think there is? Or that most people might think there is. Maybe the Cherry Burst. Or that Blueberry Burst. That thing's, wow, that thing's pretty. You'll see that guitar on those websites. And you're looking at the real Gibson. But when you order it, and it gets to your house, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Because it's not going to be the guitar that you just saw a few days ago on the internet. And one other thing about the fakes that's rarely mentioned with Gibson is the cases. You'll get a case with the guitar. Most times. And this is just what I've seen through YouTube. It will say Gibson Custom on it. Just like a custom shop case would say. And they have that combination lock. They have that too on those cases that you get with the fakes. but the combination lock on a Gibson is in the middle, where the middle latch would be. And on the fake cases, they're up on the front, up around the headstock area. And then the import fake cases that you get with these fakes, they have 3 locks, 3 latches. A Gibson USA case that is made in Canada has 5. That's another thing to look out for too. And usually, if someone's trying to sell a fake Les Paul or any fake guitar, the price will be too good to be true. So say you see a Les Paul Custom on there for $650. You know, most of you guys out here that play guitar and know about Les Pauls, you know a Les Paul Custom ain't no $650. Even used, you won't find them for that. So just keep a lookout, man, and make sure you're careful about what you buy. And then on the Ibanez's, the fake Steve Vai. That's the most common one that I've seen faked. I've never seen a fake JS series, Joe Satriani. I've never seen one of those faked. And as much as some of those cost, man, I think they would be a target, you know. Just my opinion. But on the Ibanez headstock, you'll see the Ibanez logo in gold. Just like on the gym. Just like on the real thing. That Ibanez check mark they have. On the fakes, the check mark will not go all the way to the end of the headstock. It'll be kind of short, just by about that much. And then look at your pickguard. On the lower horn, the pickguard will be, it'll look like somebody took a knife or something and carved at it. And it doesn't quite cover that horn. It's like it's too narrow. And then the pickups will say like DiMarzio on them because Steve uses DiMarzio Evolutions or whatever pickups he's up to now, which is the Gravity Storm set, I think, or DiMarzio Breed set, something like that. But and then the bridge, it will say licensed under Floyd Rose patents. It will be gold. The bar will be gold with a cap on the top. But then there's things to look at with that too. So Ibanez Original Edge, which is what is on the gems, it does not say licensed under Floyd Rose patents on it. The fine tuners on the back of the bridge will be black, and the bar is black. And then the pickguard, it'll have the pearloid pickguard, like what's on the RG 350DX. You know, that's what it, or the 470. Is it 470 now? Is it the 470? I'm trying to think of what model they replaced the 350, the 450DX. That's what it is now. It has the pearloid, but Steve's on the gym has kind of a pinkish purple hue to his pickguard and his truss rod cover. So just be careful about that stuff, man. That's what I wanted to discuss tonight, just because I want to talk a little bit, and maybe somebody will get some information out of this stuff and what to watch out for. I know they also fake fender strats too, but I don't really know what the key signs of a fender strat is. I do know I seen a fake Yngwie Malmsteen strat one time. This guy bought it for like $650. And I looked at it and I was like, that's weird looking, dude. And I seen the signature up on the headstock and I was like, that's Malmsteen. But it had nothing that Malmsteen's has on it. Like his has the brass nut. It didn't have that. It had a plastic nut. The scalloped fretboard on his, it didn't have that. It had the maple fretboard no scallops. Just like Ingve's, but no scallops. And then the body was a square body. I could tell just by the thickness of it. And it's not that yellowish color that Ingve's is. It's kind of weird just to look at it. And sometimes, man, with these fake Les Pauls and stuff, if you don't know what you're looking for, you can really be fooled by it. Oh yeah, here's some more information about the Gibsons. The truss rod cover. Look at that thing. When you pick up a Gibson, to make sure it's real, most of the time they will have 3 screws on the fakes. That is Epiphone. That's the way Epiphone they do it. Sorry, my stuttering. And Gibsons have 2 screws, and it's really thick. The plastic's really thick, and it has a white outline to it, and it's bell shaped. And on Les Paul standards, on the fake standards, the truss rod cover will say Les Paul standard, not just standard like Gibson does. And then some of them, like some of the older Gibsons, they've stopped doing this as of 2015, I believe. They had fret nibs, where the binding goes up over the frets. And fake Gibsons, they have those now, but it's slightly yellowish, not the cream color that you would expect from Gibson. And then some of the fakes don't even have them. And that's another way to look. If you're looking at a standard and it's like a 2000s model, like 2002, 2006, like mine has the fret nibs. And the fakes of those don't. And if you look at those serial numbers on the back, and you run that serial number through something like a Guitar Data project or whatever, it will come back to that Gibson model. So just be careful out there, man, with your guitar buying, because you don't want to be scammed out of your hard-earned money. And owning a Les Paul, man, it takes some cash. Even for used ones sometimes. I seen a Les Paul Traditional about a month ago used for $1,600. And I was like, wow, that's actually a good price, because those are like $2,000 or more. So I just wanted to chit chat for a minute here and talk about a bunch of useless nonsense. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. And with those truss rod adjustments, man, just be careful with it. Take your time with it. And you don't have to be afraid of it, really. I mean, I am. Because, I don't want to touch the bar on this Satriani over here. I did do it on my Gibson, because it had some fret buzz up there at the first fret. First, second, third, and fourth. And I was like, that's an unusual thing. So I just tightened it just a smidge with my little wrench they gave me in the case when I got it from the guy. And it took that away. And I mean, I barely moved that thing. Just maybe, not even a half a turn. I mean, just I had it like this, and I just flicked my wrist like that. And it turned smooth and did the job right then. So with your truss rod adjustments, if you have like humidity problems in your house or whatever environment it's in, you will have to adjust a truss rod if it sits in that environment too long. And it's just common maintenance on a guitar. Sometimes you'll have to adjust it. Over time, it will need it due to humidity. Talking about humidity, let's talk about something else real quick. Acoustic guitars. Man, get you guys a humidifier of some kind for your case. Because I've seen some people that have owned like Gibson Doves and what is that, Hummingbird and Martins, Taylors, and they keep it in the case for 6-7 months because they haven't been playing much, and they open it and it has the massive crack on the finish in the wood, or the neck's all wiggly like that, and that's all because of humidity. And I'm nervous about this Taylor I've got over here. I don't have a humidifier in it, but it stays in here all the time. so the temperature is pretty constant in here. But if you're not comfortable, once again, just take it to somebody that knows how to do it, like a tech, or maybe somebody that's been playing a while. And it's not too easy or too difficult to sort out. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Maybe you got something out of this mindless chatter. But everyone take care of yourselves. Everyone be safe out here in this pandemic. And hopefully we can get back to some form of normalcy at some point. And everybody that plays, keep shredding it up, keep playing what you play, and do what you do. Because music can save the world. And one day, you might write a piece, someone might hear it, and it might help them get through a rough time. So everybody out there, take care, keep doing what you do. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks.